guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to have a little bookish day on the Upper West Side, and I asked you guys to vote on polls on the community tab to see what I'm going to be doing. So you guys are going to be controlling my bookish day. I know for a fact that I wanted to go to Bluestone Cafe, so the first poll that I did was, what should I have for breakfast? And I just put savory or sweet. This poll got 211 votes and savory won by 70%, which I am so happy about. I love a sweet breakfast, but I think they have more options for savory, and I love this cafe. The next poll is pretty directly connected to the breakfast question. I asked if I should have a matcha or a chai, and I'm not gonna lie to you, these polls have been up for like 2 days, and I took a peek once, and chai was winning by a landslide, and I was very sad about it. You know when you ask someone their opinion on something, you're like, should I get this or this? And then they tell you one thing and you're disappointed that they chose that. It like makes you realize, oh, I actually did want that other thing. This place that I'm going to, Bluestone Cafe, is known to have like these really huge matchas. I don't know if they still have them. This was like 2023 when I last went there, but they're known to have these like really huge mason jar type things, and the matcha's so worth it. But I don't know if I'm having one. Okay, so this poll got 205 votes and matcha actually won with 56%. Thank God. This was a moment of testing our bond. Like, you guys see me make a matcha every day. I don't know why you would choose chai. Actually, maybe if you want me to switch it up, but I definitely wanted a matcha. Area that I'm going to, I know there are a bunch of bookstores around that area, so after breakfast we're obviously going to a bookstore, and I put a poll for independent bookstore or Barnes & Noble, and I just know independent bookstore won. Like, that's my guess. Let's see. So this poll got 211 votes and independent bookstore won by 84%. I just knew it. The next poll is about what book I should buy, and if you guys don't know, I've been really strict with myself and not buying books and just reading what's on my TBR. I've been trying to get it down. I think I've been doing a good job. And I thought about Onyx Storm that I got in the mail. I literally unboxed that book and started reading it. It never touched my TBR cart. And that's the loophole for this video. Whatever I buy in this video, I'm gonna start it right away for a bookish day. So it's never going on the TBR card, so technically I'm not adding books to it. Anyway, so for this poll, I didn't exactly tell you what you were choosing, but I kind of feel like if you are on BookTube or BookTok, you will probably know what these books are. I colored in the picture blue and white, and I put the emojis, a ring, a wedding chapel, and 2 brides, like one wearing a tux and one wearing a dress. And I know that in this book, they're not getting married to each other, but I just put that anyway. This book represented the wedding people, and I feel like I've been talking about wanting to read that book for such a hot minute, so. The next option was colored in gold and black, and then for that one, I put ballerina slippers, a little emoji of 2 dancers, an ice skating shoe, and I think I put like an ice cube, and that one was representing The Favorites. And this is a book that I've been seeing everywhere recently. I am so intrigued by it, and even though The Wedding People is something that I've been wanting to read since last year, The Favorites kind of like took over. Like, this is so on my radar because people say that it's like Daisy Jones and Six. That's what I first heard, and I was like immediately on my TBR. Like, that's one of my favorite books of all time. I love the TV show, everything. So it was like, yeah, that's definitely on my radar. But then I saw a couple people saying Daisy Jones and Six meets Magnolia Parks, and I was like, yeah, I need to read this. This poll got 225 votes and The Wedding People won by 54%. You know what? This is actually really productive because The Wedding People is on my 2025 TBR anyway, and I said every month I want to read at least 2 books that I put on my 2025 TBR. So you guys got me. Even though I really wanted to read the favorites, I'll read it later. The next poll is about where I should spend my day reading, and this one was like, I was checking the weather and today was supposed to be a really sunny day. It was supposed to go up to 44 degrees, and honestly, compared to the weather we've been having, that would feel like a nice summer day. And so I did put Central Park in this poll, and so I'm really scared now because I actually checked the weather again, and of course, I don't know what it is. The weather app just isn't always accurate. We're now having a winter storm warning. So that's really like, it's so different from what I expected. So I'm actually hoping that one doesn't win. But I will do whatever the poll says. So in this poll, I put up emojis. I actually literally put a picture of Central Park, and I tried my best to find a very accurate picture of Central Park in winter because it's not that pretty in the winter unless it's like snowing. It usually is just like dead trees. It's kind of empty. Kind of sad, honestly. So I tried to find the most accurate picture of Central Park in the winter, and I put, I think, like a tree emoji, some wood, and a little tulip. Is that a tulip? Or no, that's not a tulip. That's it's like a lily pad. Why don't I know flowers? That's definitely not a tulip. But anyway, for the other one that I'm actually hoping gets chosen is for the American Museum of History, and I actually just looked up a picture of the inside of it and put it there. It's this museum that also has a library within it, so if I get to go there, I can actually walk around the museum, see what's up, and then go sit and read in the library. So I'm praying for that one. Okay, so this poll had 234 votes, and the library/museum won by 56%. You guys got me. You guys are looking out for me. The next poll was asking how many pages I should read, and I put 50, 75, 100, and 125. With this one, it really depends on the writing of the book. Like, for example, something like Beartown, I took so long to read Beartown, and I love that book so much. 6-star read, actually. And I was reading like 50 pages at a time. 50 pages in one day of that book felt like a lot, whereas I could sit down and like read Daisy Jones and the Six in one sitting, you know? So depends on the writing of the book and how this will affect me. So that poll actually got 219 votes. 50 pages got 7%, 75 pages got 26%, 100 pages got 42%, and 125 pages got 26%. So we're reading 100 pages. I feel like that's solid. I honestly thought that everyone was just gonna choose the most pages. I thought that one was definitely gonna have like all the votes, but yeah, 100 pages in a day, that's solid.
So basically I was in this cafe because the library that I wanted to go sit and read in, they were closed for a private event. So I'm literally just at a cafe across the street.
When I was at the cafe this morning having breakfast, the tables were so close to each other, like all cafes in New York, and so I could hear everyone's conversation, obviously. I'm not actively eavesdropping, but you know, I hear things. And the people right next to me, this girl, she looked like she was on a date with this man, and they were discussing books that they've read recently, and I was just like, I love that for you. But then she said, I read Blue Sisters recently. I didn't really like it. I want to say I get it, but I don't because I love that book. The food there was so good, as usual. I was talking about how they are known for their matchas. Their matchas are 20 ounces, and I feel like everywhere else you get a matcha, an iced matcha, it's gonna be 16 ounces. The book that I was finishing on my Kindle is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I started that in my last vlog doing book stuff, and I was finishing it up this morning. And so I definitely hit the reading 100 pages, but I'll get into that in a second. I was just finishing this up. I was enjoying it a lot, and I feel like the first time I read it, I could totally see why I didn't like it, because I was probably trying to take it too seriously. I had to go into it knowing that it's not that serious, it's just fun, just enjoy yourself. There are definitely some moments in there because the characters have their own insecurities and their own problems, and we focus on those issues, but there's so many funny little things going on in this book. Like, if you remember the scene about the pictures, I'm not gonna spoil it, but just think of pictures and think of a ring light. I literally could not stop laughing at the ring light. If you remember that in this book, please tell me you remember that. Or if you've read it already and you don't remember, look it up so you know what I'm talking about. That was so funny. How did I not enjoy this the first time I read it? I mean, actually, I know that I probably read that and cringed, or I probably was just taking it too seriously. But you know what? Life's too short to take it seriously. Actually, isn't that a different Abby Jimenez book? Life's too short. Anyway, I was having a grand time reading it this time, and I actually think that I'm rating it 4.25 stars when I originally rated it 2 stars. So that's kind of insane. But on to the actual book of this vlog. Oh, the dust jacket. The wedding people. The actual book of this vlog. I am enjoying it so far. I'm literally only about 50 pages in. I'm on page 53. The vibe definitely changed, and it was really funny for me to finish Part of Your World and start this. The vibes are so different. If you don't know, this is about a woman named Phoebe, and she's like hitting rock bottom because everything in her life is just like going wrong. And so she goes to this hotel just as like one big last expensive treat to herself. So she's going to this hotel for one last time, if you understand what I mean. And when she gets there, she gets mistaken to be a part of this wedding party. The whole hotel is meant to be like booked out for this wedding, and everyone there is meant to be a wedding guest. And so she gets mistaken for someone who's supposed to be attending the wedding. They weren't supposed to book anyone who isn't attending the wedding. And that mix up is because the hotel is understaffed, because this starts like, well, it mentions lockdown, it mentions the pandemic, and so they're like, yeah, we're understaffed because of the pandemic. I don't know how much that this book is gonna continue to mention it, but so far it isn't bothering me. In the past, I've been bothered by books that have taken place in the pandemic, or like, I don't know, I lived through it and I don't enjoy reading about it, but this one, it's kind of more mentioning it in passing. and I'm not bothered. I've actually already underlined a couple things in here, and I kind of figured that that would be the case with this book. I just knew, like, I would relate to Phoebe in some way, the things that she's saying and thinking. I remember when I was in the cafe earlier, I was literally like asking the barista if she had a pen. She didn't, and I had to like dog ear my pages and wait until I got home. I usually always have a pen on me. I usually always have like 2 pens on me, and today's the day that I didn't have a pen. Speaking of that coffee shop, I just went in there randomly. Actually, I never explained, or maybe I will explain it in like a voiceover or something, but at the museum, the place that I wanted to go read, because they have like a research library attached to it, it was like closed for an event. So I just kind of walked around the museum, enjoyed it for a bit, and then left, and I was reading at this cafe, very random cafe. I had a good day. I had a nice bookish day, and it continues tomorrow. I mean, tomorrow isn't exactly bookish, but I'm gonna continue the vlog. I feel like I want to get more into this book, give more of my thoughts. Yeah, so I will see you tomorrow. So the next poll is probably what's gonna go into tomorrow, and it's what book adaptation I should watch. Again, I did the same thing like I did for the books. I didn't tell you exactly what you were voting for, but I feel like people could guess this one pretty easily. For the first one, I put a bunch of beach emojis and then a lipstick, and that's for The Summer I Turned Pretty. And then the next one, I put a bunch of instruments, a microphone, headphones, the music symbol, and that is for Daisy Jones and the Six. I just realized as I'm saying that I probably could have put the daisy flower emoji and it would have given it away easier, but I feel like people probably know what I'm talking about anyway. This poll got 214 votes, and The Summer I Turned Pretty won by 59%, which is great because I actually started watching that already. Hey, sue me. I watched like one episode. Well, I've seen it before, by the way. I've seen both of these before, and I just love them so much. Like, one just puts me in a good mood because it's like so summer. The atmosphere of it, the visuals, the songs, the plays, it just feels so nostalgic. And then Daisy Jones and Six, I will probably end up sobbing. So maybe it's a good thing that that one didn't get chosen. I also love that show so much. So I was happy with either one. Tomorrow night, we'll be watching The Summer I Turned Pretty. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but it's snowing so bad outside right now. It's like on my windows. So if you can hear that, I'm sorry. But I just feel like it's so funny that we're about to watch The Summer I Turned Pretty. And honestly, it's gonna put me in the perfect mood. Because I actually love when it's snowing at night, when it's like time to sleep. It's like when it's raining at night, it just hits different. It's so nice and cozy. Throughout the day when you actually have to go out and do things, the snow is a nuisance. But you guys know already, The Summer I Turned Pretty won. I feel like this is gonna be such a contrast to what's going on out there, and I'm gonna enjoy it so much. Basically, I kind of already started it, but I didn't get far. Oh wait. I didn't get far at all. I literally have it open, and the reason why I started it is because my friend told me about my life with the Walter Boys, and we were talking about how much we love these little corny shows. Like, they're just so comforting. And she told me it reminded her of The Summer I Turned Pretty, just without the beach. And I was like, well, that kind of sucks because the beach is my favorite part of this show. But I was like, fine, I'll watch it. I loved it. I know it's like not good, but I loved it. You know what's another show like in that category? Ginny and Georgia, or is it Georgia and Ginny? Whatever it is, again, not good, but I enjoy it. I feel like I never mentioned, I actually passed like the 100-page point of this book. I'm currently on page 109, and honestly, I can't give much thoughts on this. Like, I told you what it was about, and basically the only thing that's happening now is that the bride is like trying to convince her not to leave Earth. I don't know what's an appropriate way to talk about that on the internet, but you get the point. She is doing it in a very interesting way though, because it's completely self-serving. Like, it's all about her and her wedding, but it's really interesting how much they're like opening up to each other, and they're having so many conversations talking to each other as if they've known each other all their lives and they kind of just met. So that's mostly what's going on. And we learned a lot about how she got to this point, how she hit rock bottom. Also really interesting. I have underlined so many things in here. I wish I had tabs so you guys could like see how much I underline, but I like it. I knew I would. I just read the summary and was like, this seems like my cup of tea. But yeah, I'm on page 109. I actually started The God of the Woods too. I was listening to the audiobook while I was coloring, and that was like, it's such a relaxing thing to do. And the reason why I started it through audiobook too is because so many people say that it's like so slow at the beginning, and maybe it's because I'm listening to it, but I genuinely don't feel that way. I feel like it starts and we already get into what's going on. Like, this is basically a story about a kid that goes missing at a camp, a summer camp situation, and then the kid is like gone missing the first couple pages. Like, what? How is that slow? I don't know. I feel like I was thrown into it. I don't know. I kind of feel differently about it. And again, maybe it's the audiobook. I don't know how I would feel if I was actually reading the physical copy. I stopped listening at page 74, so I'm kind of in the middle of the two of those. My coloring, it's been so therapeutic. I colored this one, little cowboy hat. I also did these jeans. That was just literally just tonight. The book was actually getting so good, and I was like, I want to do one more chapter, but I don't want to like color something too intense, and so I just did these clips after. I never exactly talked about my day, but we went to this Japanese little place, like a little restaurant, hole in the wall type restaurant. It was so tiny, I'm not kidding. Only 4 people can fit in there at a time. A 5th person cannot fit. Like, 4 people could fit in one straight line, and if a 5th person tries to walk in, it's not gonna happen. That place, I'm gonna put the name on screen. It's long and I don't want to butcher it. I also literally cannot even remember all the letters that's in the name to even try, but really good place. I don't know if I showed this, but we were in the Sephora by Union Square, which was like really crowded and chaotic. I got the Patrick Ta blush in She Knows Who She Is. This is what I was trying to get in one of my other vlogs, and they didn't have it. Anyway, yeah, that was our little day that we had going on. Didn't vlog much because my hands were just in my pockets the whole time. This one girl when we were at the place was telling her friends that her hands was like so numb that she like her phone like accidentally flew out of her hand, and she didn't even like realize her hands were just so numb. Like, we were all going through it today. You know, everyone's like Team Jeremiah, Team Conrad, Team Cameron. shown myself reading this book too much, and honestly it's just because I've been kind of reading it with a straight face. It's not that I'm not enjoying it, there's just nothing to like giggle at or smile at or be shocked at. Actually, there was this one little thing that happened that was kind of shocking. I kind of was like, oh, but it was like a moment and it passed. But it's very much like, and it's not like Sally Rooney's writing, but I feel the same way when I'm reading like a Sally Rooney book. Like there's nothing for me to be like, oh my god, guys, something crazy just happened, or I'm like literally laughing, or I'm angry at something. Like it's kind of just really mundane. And I have the ability to enjoy those books, but it's just, there's nothing for me to like react to tell you. You know what I mean? I don't even remember that I did this, but I just stopped randomly in the middle of a chapter. One thing I will say about this book is that I feel like the chapters, not the chapters, I feel like scenes go on and on and on forever. Like one scene feels really long, which I'm kind of guessing is because this book is only taking place over a few days. Like we would have a couple chapters and then it would be like Friday and Thursday and stuff like that. I'm guessing it might just be a weekend or maybe just 1 week, something of the sort, which makes sense why one scene is like going on for so long. But another thing about that, about one scene like going on and on and on, is that the main character Phoebe, sometimes she's just like standing there and everyone else is having a conversation. And I know that this is probably intentional. It has so much to do with her character, and if you read this and you see the way her character works, it makes so much sense. And this is called The Wedding People, and she spends so much time observing the wedding people and the bride and seeing all of their dynamics, and it is interesting. But sometimes they would literally, actually I'm pretty sure this chapter that I just stopped randomly on, they're on a boat for, it's a part of the bride's like thing, and she ends up on the boat with them and they're just having this whole conversation about them and their lives, and she's just standing there and she hasn't spoken for a hot minute in this one scene. And it's so, I've never read anything like that before. I don't know if I love it. It just kind of feels weird because I feel like I'm used to everything coming back to the main character. It's almost like, all right, how does this, like, let's relate it back to you, or let's hear more about Phoebe, or let's go back to what's going on in her brain, how she's feeling. And it's like, she's kind of there as a buffer, which again makes so much sense to her as a character and the way that the book is set up. And so even though I know it's intentional, I hate to like say I don't love something about a book and people are like, oh well, you just don't get it. Like that's intentional, that's the way that it's meant to be. And I'm like, yeah, I understand that, but I don't love it, you know? Another thing I will say about this book is I don't feel like it's holding my attention as well as others have. And maybe I'm just distracted this weekend, but I think that definitely shows by me stopping in the middle of a chapter. Like something probably happened and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just go do that and get back to this later, and then I never did. I fell asleep. I literally don't know what happened. I definitely have to read more and see how I'm feeling about it. I'm not hating it at all because I literally underlined so many things. There's so many one-liners that I love in here. So I'm not hating it. I'm enjoying that part. And I love the conversations between the bride and Phoebe, the main character. And I love how much they're opening up to each other without barely even knowing each other. There are lots that I love about it so far, but definitely it has its issues. What I can say is that I don't think it's a 5-star read, which is unfortunate because I really thought this was gonna be my first 5-star of the year. And I haven't had a 5-star of the year yet, which is fine because last year I actually had my first 5-star around Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is Friday, so I hope we get to it soon. Also, update on the show that you guys chose, The Summer I Turned Pretty. I love that show so much. I wish it was summer. I wish I lived on a beach. it's just so beautiful to see the summer scenes, and just everyone looks so happy, even though lots going on in their lives, but they just look so happy on the beach. And I wish I were there. One thing I was thinking about with that show though is, like, I know those books are children's books or teenage, young adult, whatever. They're really young. If you read them and you're in your 20s, yeah, they're gonna feel really young. But the TV show, the adults are doing very adult things, which, as they should, right? They're adults, but it's just what is this TV show rated? Like, who is it for? Is it for everyone? But I just feel like the adults go wild on this show. And like when I'm watching the kids, it's like, oh yeah, this is a kid's show, and Belly's like so awkward, and but then the adults are adulting. Who is this show meant for? I don't know, but I love it. I honestly was just kind of getting into this, but I need to go wash my hair. You know, wash day is truly wash day for me. It's not just a couple hours. I need at least half the day. That's what I'm gonna go do now, and I won't be giving my full thoughts in this vlog, but that's what wrap-ups are for. It's all right. I've been reading a lot slower lately than usual, and yeah, honestly, I don't really have anything to say about it. I don't have an excuse for it. I think life is just a little bit busier, and I don't know, I've just slowed down on my reading, and it's okay. Well, it's okay for me anyway. I hope it's okay for you. You'll get the full thoughts and ratings in a wrap-up. So I hope you guys enjoyed spending a weekend with me, and thank you guys for voting in the polls if you did. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!